Good day everyone and welcome to another Valorize Tokenomics Academy class, and today we will be talking about semi-fungible and account-bound crypto assets. So we have several objectives for today. We want to understand what semi-fungible tokens and account-bound tokens are. We'll look into the differences between NFTs, SFTs, and ABTs. We will also focus on the technical differences between the token standards of these NFTs, SFTs, and ABTs. And we will also look at the various early adoptions of these tokens. So this is an overview of the tokens that we will cover. We already have covered non-fungible tokens and fungible tokens, and today we will cover the miscellaneous category, which consists of the semi-fungible and account-bound tokens. So to give a bit of an idea or an overview of different ecosystems that arise from these type of tokens, but starting with a semi-fungible token-based ecosystem. Of course, the incentive drivers are the semi-fungible tokens. The token standard is ERC 1155. Evaluation is done by calculating the price per token times the token amount. Fundraising can be done through the mint. Revenue can be generated through the royalties, and trading takes place on marketplaces. Then if we look at the account-bound token-based ecosystem, of course the ABTs are the incentive driver. The token standard is ERC 4973, which we'll talk about later on as well. Evaluation is not available. Fundraising can be done through mint. The recurring payments can provide some revenue, and trading will not be done. And that will be more clarified later on. So starting with semi-fungible tokens. So what is an SFT? It's a fungible token with often a very limited supply that can turn into an NFT after the fungible token has been redeemed or expired. So it turns into an NFT as it records data about the redeemed token, such as time, date, and details about the person that redeemed it. So to compare the SFTs with NFTs is that the NFT has for each token one token ID, while the SFT is that a certain amount, so one batch of semi-fungible tokens share one token ID. And because they share all one token ID, they all look the same and have the same value. While the NFTs are unique, and each NFT can have a different value if, for example, the rarity is one feature that impacts the different values, while that is, of course, not the case within an SFT. So there are some shortcomings with NFTs, and especially their contracts. And we have three different contracts. So we have ERC 721, ERC 721A, and ERC 1155. So as I said before, the semi-fungible tokens use ERC 1155, and this contract allows for batch mint transfer. It allows for multi-token functionality. It prevents accidental locks, and it allows for the chain of functions. So of course, batch minting and transfer is quite straightforward. It allows you to transfer multiple tokens at the same time, or mint multiple tokens at the same time. Then a multi-token functionality, as we already said, a semi-fungible token goes from fungible token to non-fungible token, and of course, it needs to support those different tokens. But of course, with an ERC 1155 smart contract, you can also make a fungible token only or a non-fungible token only smart contract, depending on how you code it, of course. But it supports these different tokens entirely. Then the accidental locks, that is something that can happen if you send your NFTs to a contract address or another, just a regular account that does not support the ERC 721 or 721A tokens. So what ERC 1155 does, it has a mechanism or code that prevents that you send your tokens to the wrong address. And then the chain of function is it goes hand in hand with the previous feature. Triggering of chain of function is only possible if the transfer function accepts the token standard. So this is a bit similar to the accidental lock. If you want to perform a set of functions, then you want to be sure that in that process you will not lock up your tokens. And there is something called save mint, and the save mint function in the ERC 721 and 21A that will actually protect a little bit against accidental locks. So only if you use the regular mint functions, you will run into these problems. Then there are some different utilities for semi-fungible tokens. So we have in-game items and access. Starting with the in-game items, Big Time is a game running on the Hive blockchain. So it's play-to-earn multiplayer action role-playing game. And its weapons, armor, and titles are all semi-fungible tokens. As you can see here, for example, we have the Apprentice prototype chest, which is a rare piece of armor. And its supply is only 1,000, and they all have the same price at first. So that's $9.30 to mint one of these pieces of armor. So also, if we look at the Sandbox, this is a slightly different game. It's a community-driven multiplayer game containing NFTs and SFTs, and it's also play-to-earn through the SFTs, as you can create those SFTs and then receive Sand, the token of the Sandbox, in return. So, for example, someone made a Christmas tree. The creator is called NFT Draft, and it has a token ID. It's a very long token ID, and only 1,000 are available for mint or have been minted, and each of them will be sold for 21 cents. So that is, of course, a semi-fungible token. You start fungible, then when you claim and use it, it becomes non-fungible. Then regarding access, Untold Festival started with selling their tickets as NFTs. So it is a redeemable token, and when that ticket or token is redeemed, it turns into a collectible NFT. And it turns into this NFT as it records data about the token, such as time, date, and details about the person that redeemed it. And yeah, so this was all in partnership with Elrond and the Elrond network, as the SFTs are sold on that network. So now on to the account-bound tokens. These are also known as soul-bound tokens, but in this case, the soul is your account. Another name is, which is more descriptive, is non-transferable, non-fungible tokens. So it's very clear that you receive that token, but you cannot transfer it to other accounts. And the ABTs use the ERC 4973 standard, which arose from the EIP 4973. So the Ethereum Improvement Proposal 4973 about account-bound tokens is a very interesting thread of discussions initiated by Tim Daub, and he created this token standard. So what are the differences between the current NFT and SFT standards compared to the ERC 4973 standard? So ERC 721, 721A, and 1155, they, of course, they are mostly for NFTs and SFTs, but they all four have a mint function. Then only 721A and 1155, as already discussed before, have the batch mint. they can all transfer except for the ERC4973. So it's literally account bound, but the issuer of this account bound token can give or take your account bound token. And an additional function is called unequip, and there you can take, well, the matters into your own hands. If you receive an ABT but you don't want it, that means you can burn your account bound token. So there are some utilities, of course. ABTs can play a massive role in creating a decentralized society, which we'll talk about in the next slide. But currently, many projects or institutes are not using ABTs or not even aware of their existence. So, as I said, it plays a role in the social decentralized society. So you can have an ABT to replace social identity cards. We have governance, memberships, and in-game accolades, starting with social identity through ABTs, which can be diplomas, experiences, driver's licenses, identity cards or passports, even life insurances, and also lending based on reputation. So this was all, most of these ideas have been coined or mentioned in the Decentralized Society Finding Web3 Soul article, which of course Vitalik Buterin has written together with Olhaver and Will. So also with ABTs we can use them for governance purposes, and an idea or application could be that we issue ABTs for every person with an identity card linked to a country, and then give voting rights per person with an identity ABT, and then we can record those votes for the elections by using the blockchain network. And of course, other forms of governance in smaller ecosystems are also a possibility. Then one project that is using account-bound tokens is called the Blue Chip Alliance, and this uses ABTs in a membership program. And BCA is an entity that recruits high-quality NFT projects. So we probably have heard of blue chip stocks like Facebook, Amazon, Google, and these are called blue chip because they are high quality, they're reliable, and have constant or consistent growth over time. And the BCA wants to create this NFT space equivalent of those blue chip stocks. So how this is done, we have an NFT project that seeks the recognition of quality. It meets those BCA requirements for the blue chip NFT project. Then that project can become a BCA member, mints the BCA ABT, and to be consistently recognized as a blue chip NFT project, you need the NFT project needs to maintain those requirements, and there will be a lot of meetings that discuss progression, and if those NFT projects still maintain that standard, that quality, and that involves yearly payments to keep that account tokens token. Then I hope we can get some discussion from this in the comment section. So the proof of attendance protocol is our NFTs that represent activities you have attended. They can reward your presence, or they can be seen as proof of community involvement. They are made on the sidechain of Ethereum, and then what I thought while reading, studying the POAPs, why or what's the point of receiving NFT that you can transfer? Of course, you will probably not do that, but it doesn't make sense to have an NFT when only you have attended that specific conference or activity or community gathering. So yeah, let me know what you think. Should POAP stay NFTs or should they become account-bound tokens? Does that make more sense? Or will you say, nah, just leave it as it is? So there are some key takeaways for today. An SFT-based and ABT-based ecosystem is significantly different than each other, and from what we previously saw, also different than NFT-based. NFT-based ecosystems, SFTs are fungible tokens with very limited supply that can turn into NFTs. So the SFTs use the ERC 1155 standard, and that forms the solution to several problems that are associated to the NFT standards. And ABTs are non-fungible tokens, which are often unique. So they, for example, your diploma or your name on it is of course unique. And ABTs can be used for governance, in-game accolades, memberships, and for identity-related documents. And BCA is one of the early adopters of ABTs as they're used in their membership program. Thanks for tuning into the Tokenomics Academy of Valorize DAO. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more tokenomics content. And see you at the next one.